right, team. So through having watched a lot of my videos that I always harp on mental training. And so today's topic, I wanted to go over mental training for distance runners. I just recently read over a recent study that VDOTO2, the coaching platform that I use that's based around Dr. Jack Daniels' training principles, recently did a study in terms of, and their question was, how often do you work on your mental game? And I was really intrigued by this because over the years, I've really put a high emphasis on mental rehearsal, seeing yourself competing at the high level that you're dreaming about. You have to see it in your mind before it ever becomes a reality in real life. But the sad reality is far too many middle to long distance runners are only focused on physical training, and some of their data really reminds me of all the other information I've read about over the years too, in terms of mental rehearsal. And they stated that roughly 52% of those that they had asked, 52% they never focused on mental rehearsal, rarely or never. Just over 40% rarely or never set short-term or long-term goals. This is another thing I always talk about. Make sure you're writing down your goals. Don't just guess about what workouts you need to be doing, and don't just dream about the goals that you have. Actually write them down. It's different instead of just thinking about the types of times you want to go after or the specific goals that you have in mind. It's something different when you actually write those down. But I thought it was kind of alarming that just over 50% of the individuals that they asked stated that just over 50% rarely or never set short-term or long-term goals, and over 80% rarely or never meditate. And that's really, it's not shocking, but at the same time, it's when you think about all the preparation that we do for our middle to long distance races, we are always focused on what paces per mile we're running, what paces per kilometer we're running, how many miles a week or how many kilometers a week we're running. It's the physical combined with the mental preparation that really will take you to the next level as a distance runner. I think you have to go beyond just doing the ordinary. Again, we talk about the late Joe Newton stated best. He said we have three choices in this life. We can be average, we can be good, or we can be great. And greatness demands that you have to do more than the average Joe or Jane out there. You have to be willing to focus on all the fundamentals that go into running a great race. Maybe you're trying to break 14 minutes for the 2 mile, or maybe trying to break 17 minutes for the 3 mile distance, or trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. You have to, those goals are important, but doing that little extra and going beyond what the weekly pace stated here, the VDOTO2.com coaching platform. They have a great set of information that's there for you too, that I highly recommend. I think it's really important to note that 52% stated that they rarely or never incorporate visualization into their training. And looking at the overview of their write-up here, how often do you incorporate visualization? On average, 11.9% stated all the time. So you have a smaller percentage that are putting in that heavy training, physical, aerobic and anaerobic training, but they're also training mentally. 30.4% stated they never focus on mental training. 21.4% stated that they rarely incorporate visualization, and 36.3% stated that sometimes they do. How often do you set short-term or long-term goals? 47%, just over 47% stated that they do sometimes set short-term and long-term goals, and 46.2% stated all the time. So about a 50-50 percentage here. My recommendation, if you really want to take it to the next level in your training, start incorporating mental rehearsal, mental preparation. It's like 50% of the work. If you're just doing physical training, you're leaving so much of your potential on the table, because you're only doing what the most average to good runners do. They focus on physical training. But the great athletes, those athletes that are fired up and want to make it to the next level in their training, they're doing all of the fundamentals, all of the variables that go into great distance running. Mental training is huge. Billy Mills stated it best prior to going into his Olympic Games, his Olympic 10,000 meter final in Tokyo. He said the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between reality or imagination. So, he went into Tokyo having a PR of about just under 2 minutes slower than the top guys. And he ended up, he was visualizing, and I'll leave the link to his short video clip that I want you to watch, where he talks about what he was doing leading up to the Tokyo 10,000 meter final. And he was talking about how he visualized dozens of times a day over and over again prior to going into Tokyo, and that he wanted to run 28:25 for 10,000 meters. His PR was around 29:40 for the 10,000 meters leading into that. So again, big jump. And we didn't have, Billy Mills and the athletes back in the 60s and 70s, they didn't have 80s, 90s, we didn't have the shoe technology that we have today. Even late, early to mid 2000s, we didn't have that. So this is someone that's placing heavy emphasis on mental training and mental rehearsal. So that's why I really think that this particular study that VDOTO2.com did is really important as a reminder to all of you who are just focusing. So you're driven and you're motivated to get out and do those tempo runs and the track sessions and the long runs. But what are you doing about your mental rehearsal? It's very easy, and it's also very easy to be negative sometimes. Outside of running, there's a lot of things that bother me, of course, just like anybody else. But it's mostly things that are just outside of my control. And so I think the thing to keep in mind is, if it's something that you can't fix yourself, you have to really focus on being an optimist rather than a pessimist. And it's just better to, our brains are already wired for negativity already. So I think it's important to do the very best you can to be positive about your training, and the mindset, the mental preparation, and going beyond just doing the ordinary is so critical if you want to be a great middle to long distance runner. And the longer the longer events require so much more time emphasis, and the shorter events, you got to really focus on your speed and anaerobic development. Whereas the longer races, you have to really build your endurance, and you also have to build on your anaerobic speed as well. But without mental training, without taking this seriously, it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve your goals if all you're doing is just focusing 100% of your time on physical preparation. The best athletes that I've known, including Olympians that I've trained with and lived with over the years, these guys and gals are zeroed in. They are highly focused and driven, both mentally and physically. They rehearse 10 to 15 minutes every single day. The best time, in my recommendation to you all, the things that I did over the years, is spend 10 to 15 minutes either right before you go to bed at night or right as you're getting up in the morning. See yourself performing at that high level, running relaxed, running strong, running, confident, getting across the finish line, and whatever that specific goal time that you have in mind, see that time on the clock, and keep rehearsing this. Keep rewiring your brain to direct you toward what you want to do, and don't spend all of your time 100% zeroed in, focused on just physical training. Combine the physical as well with the mental, and you will start making big gains in your running. Also, practice the best you can on staying as relaxed as you possibly can in training. The best time to practice it, without question, is when you're running at faster speeds, doing hill repetitions when you're forcing yourself to start running between 95 to up to 100% of your maximum heart rate. Doing those types of hard VO2 max workouts where you're running at significantly faster paces than your goal race pace. During your tempo runs, consciously tell yourself to relax. If you if your facial muscles start tensing up or your shoulders start to rise, consciously tell yourself to relax. But at the end of the day, without question, do not neglect mental training. I think in terms of mental training for distance runners and middle distance runners, it's so critical if you want to make it to the next level to not to neglect this. Let me know in the comment section below if mental training is something that you've actually incorporated into your routine and how that has helped you in your training. And let me know also if it's not something you've really considered in the past and something you want to start doing leading up into your next build-up. Let me know what questions you have or what your thoughts are about this particular video. I'm really interested in hearing you all, your insight on this particular topic as well. So I wish you guys all the best. Click that like button if you can. It helps the channel grow and a lot more athletes around the world to see these videos. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I make a new video you'll be notified of it. And if there's anything else I can help you all out with, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always available, always check these comments and making sure that I respond to all of you. So I really appreciate your support of the channel, and I will talk to you all in the next video.